The light turns red. Your foot presses gently on the brake as your car rolls to a stop on an ordinary Tuesday morning. Two cars pull up beside you. To your left is a brand new luxury SUV. The paint shines like a mirror. The windows are tinted. The wheels are spotless. Everything about it announces success. To your right is a 10-year-old Honda. The paint has faded. There's a small dent near the rear bumper. A coffee cup sits in the cup holder, and the driver doesn't seem interested in impressing anyone. If someone asked you which driver was wealthy, you'd probably answer without thinking. But before you even say it, something happens. Your eyes naturally drift toward the SUV. Of course it's the SUV. That's what we've been taught. Expensive car equals successful person. Old car equals someone who's struggling. But here's the strange part. If you looked beyond appearances, you might discover the exact opposite. The person driving the SUV could be making a payment that's eating up a huge portion of their income every month. They might be carrying credit card balances, living paycheck to paycheck, hoping nothing unexpected goes wrong before the next payday, and every payment keeps them awake a little longer at night. Meanwhile, the person in the old Honda may have no car payment at all. A healthy investment account, an emergency fund, and enough financial breathing room to walk away from a job they no longer enjoy. They sleep just fine. One person looks rich, the other quietly has options. That's the difference almost nobody notices. We've become experts at recognizing spending, but we've become terrible at recognizing wealth. Those two things sound similar. They're not. In fact, they often move in opposite directions. The louder someone tries to display financial success, the more likely they're spending money that could have been building real freedom. And the people who are actually becoming wealthy, many of them intentionally avoid looking the part, not because they can't afford luxury, because they understand something most people never learn. Looking rich and becoming rich are two completely different games. If you confuse one for the other, you can spend decades chasing an image while moving farther away from real financial freedom. Because once you understand the difference, you'll never look at expensive things the same way again. It's payday. A six-figure paycheck lands in your account. For a moment, it feels like you've finally made it, but before the money even settles, it's already been spent. The mortgage, the SUV payment, credit cards, insurance, subscriptions, weekend spending. By the end of the day, much of that paycheck already belongs to someone else. And by the end of the month, there's almost nothing left. Most people assume earning more money automatically solves financial problems. It sounds logical, double your income, and life should become twice as comfortable, but that's rarely what happens. Imagine two neighbors, both earn well over six figures, both drive expensive cars, both live in beautiful homes. From the outside, they look financially unstoppable. But behind one of those front doors is a very different reality because income doesn't tell the full story. What matters is what happens after the money arrives. Then something unexpected happens. A layoff, a medical emergency, a major home repair. Suddenly that six-figure salary doesn't feel rich anymore. The lifestyle that once looked secure begins to crack. Not because the income disappeared forever, but because there was never a financial cushion underneath it. That's what surprises so many people. A high salary doesn't guarantee financial security. It simply gives you the opportunity to create it. Whether you actually do depends on your habits. Every raise quietly brings another upgrade. A bigger house, a newer car, a more expensive vacation, a higher standard of living. Your income grows, but so do your monthly obligations. It's like pouring water into a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you add, it never stays full. This has a name: lifestyle inflation. It happens so gradually that most people never notice. One monthly payment, one upgrade, one luxury that slowly becomes a necessity until one day, the lifestyle you built starts controlling you. That's why real wealth has surprisingly little to do with what you earn. It has everything to do with what you keep, because until you recognize that invisible pattern, you'll keep believing the next raise is the answer. Think back to the last expensive thing you bought. Picture the moment. Opening the box, peeling off the plastic, that small rush of excitement, that quiet voice telling you it was worth every dollar. Now be honest. How much of that purchase was really about the product and how much was about how it made you feel? That feeling isn't an accident. Your brain has been chasing status for thousands of years. Long before brands and advertisements existed, status meant survival. The strongest hunter, the safest shelter, the person with the most resources, those signals helped people decide who to trust and who to follow. that instinct never disappeared. It simply changed its costume. Today, status isn't measured by who brings home food. It's measured by logos, neighborhoods, cars, vacations, social media posts. We're no longer trying to survive. We're trying to look successful. Companies understand this better than we do. Every advertisement quietly sells the same promise. Buy this and you'll become the kind of person people admire. Not because the product transforms your life, because it transforms your image, and for a short time it works. You drive home in the new car, friends compliment it, strangers notice it, you feel successful, but then something subtle happens. The excitement fades. The new car becomes your normal car, the expensive watch becomes just another watch, the thrill disappears, so your brain starts searching again. A nicer apartment, a better vacation, a bigger TV. Without realizing it, you've stepped onto a treadmill. No matter how fast you run, you never actually arrive, because every new purchase simply resets your definition of normal. Meanwhile, the people you're trying to impress are doing the exact same thing. They're chasing someone else's version of success. Almost nobody is paying as much attention to your life as you think they are. They're too busy performing their own. That's what makes this cycle so dangerous. You're spending real money to create an image for an audience that's largely distracted by its own image. And every dollar spent maintaining that performance is a dollar that can no longer build your future. Once you see that expensive purchases begin to look very different, because the true cost isn't what's printed on the price tag. It's everything that purchase quietly steals from your future. No purchase steals more future wealth than the one society tells you is the ultimate symbol of success. Imagine in the morning you're standing inside a bright dealership. The salesperson smiles as they hand you the keys to a brand new SUV. The leather smells fresh, the touchscreen lights up, everything about it feels like success. Then they slide one final paper across the desk. The payment is only around $700 a month. Only. That's the word almost everyone remembers. Not the total cost, not the years of payments, just the monthly number. In that moment, something shifts. You don't feel like you're buying a car. You feel like you've reached a new level in life, like you've finally caught up, like you've proven something. So you sign, you drive home convinced you've made it. The feeling of winning lasts all the way home. The financial reality begins before you even park it. The vehicle immediately starts losing value, not because you abused it, because that's what new cars do. Then come the other costs. Insurance, maintenance, fuel, repairs. The payment was only the beginning. Now imagine someone else makes a different choice. They keep driving a reliable used car that's already paid off. Instead of sending $750 every month to a lender, they automatically invest that same amount into a low-cost index fund. At first, the difference is almost invisible. Friends laugh at the old car. They wonder why someone with a good income still drives that thing, but the years pass. The investments continue. Compound growth quietly keeps working even while they're sleeping. One decision creates more money instead of consuming it. Suddenly, the comparison isn't between two cars, it's between two futures. One person owns an impressive vehicle that keeps losing value. The other owns assets that keep growing year after year. That's the calculation almost nobody makes before signing the paperwork. They compare monthly payments. Wealthy people compare opportunity costs, because every dollar tied up in looking successful is one less dollar building financial freedom. Once you begin thinking that way, you realize the car was only the beginning. There's another purchase that quietly drains even more money than almost anything else. Most people call it an investment. Long before they ask whether it actually is one, it's moving day. You're standing in the middle of your new living room. The space feels enormous. Your footsteps echo slightly as you walk across the floor. For a moment, it feels like you've made it. You worked hard. Your income grew, and now you're here in a bigger house, in a better neighborhood, with more space than you've ever had before. It feels like progress, like the next level. And on the surface, it is. But there's something most people don't notice yet. At first, the empty rooms feel exciting, full of possibility. A few weeks later, the empty rooms stop feeling spacious. They start feeling empty. Suddenly, the space doesn't feel like an achievement anymore. It feels unfinished. So you start filling it. A new couch, a larger TV, a dining table that matches the scale of the room, decor for walls that didn't exist in your previous home. One purchase quietly leads to another and another, until the house begins to demand a lifestyle you didn't fully plan for, because the mortgage was never the only cost. It was just the beginning. Property taxes increase, insurance rises, utility bills climb as you heat and cool more space, maintenance becomes more frequent and more expensive, small repairs turn into larger ones, and slowly, almost invisibly, your monthly obligations expand. That's what financially savvy people think about before they buy. They don't just ask, can I afford this house? They ask, what will this house require from me every single month? Because every major purchase creates a ripple effect. A bigger garage often leads to more expensive cars. A nicer neighborhood creates subtle pressure to keep up. Even your social circle begins to shift toward higher spending without anyone ever saying it out loud. The house doesn't just change where you live, it changes how you live. Over time, those changes reduce something far more important than square footage. Your flexibility. That's why many financially independent people choose homes well below what they're approved for. They're not trying to impress anyone. They're protecting something much more valuable, their future choices. Because every extra dollar locked into housing is a dollar that can't be invested, a dollar that can't grow, a dollar that can't buy back your time later. Here's the part most people miss. The biggest threat to your wealth isn't always one large purchase. Sometimes it's thousands of smaller ones, quietly stacking up in the background, often charged to the same credit card. One swipe at a time, and that's where the next trap begins. It's Friday night, you're standing at the checkout counter. The cashier smiles. That'll be $2,147. You tap your credit card. Approved. 5 seconds later, you're walking out with a brand new laptop. It barely feels like you've spent any money at all. That's the magic of a credit card, and also the danger. A credit card is one of the most useful financial tools ever created. It can also become one of the most expensive. The difference isn't the card, it's how it's used. When you pay with cash, your brain immediately feels the loss. With a credit card, something strange happens. The excitement happens today. The pain arrives next month. That delay makes spending feel effortless. That's why credit cards separate the pleasure of buying from the pain of paying. Weeks later, the statement arrives. Instead of paying the full balance, you choose the minimum payment. It seems harmless after all. The bank says that's enough. What they don't emphasize is what happens next. Interest quietly begins working against you. Every month you carry that balance, you pay more for something you already own. Eventually, you're no longer paying for the laptop, you're paying for yesterday's decisions. And by then, the excitement is already gone. Now imagine repeating that process with vacations, restaurants, furniture, holiday gifts, a few online purchases here and there. Individually, none of them seem life-changing. Together, they become a permanent monthly payment. That's how people slowly trap themselves. Not through one terrible decision, through hundreds of small ones. The wealthy recognize something different. If compound interest can build investments, it can also build debt. The same force that creates wealth can quietly destroy it when it works against you. That's why financially successful people avoid carrying high interest balances. Every dollar paid in interest is a dollar that never gets the chance to compound for them. Every payment sent to a credit card company is money that could have been buying productive assets instead. That's the invisible cost of debt. It steals tomorrow to satisfy today. And once you escape that cycle, your focus changes. You stop asking what you can borrow and start asking what you can own. Because people who quietly build wealth don't measure success by how much they can spend. They measure it by how much they keep. And that's when one number becomes more important than your salary, your house, or your car combined. You're at a family barbecue, someone you've just met smiles and asks, "So, what do you make?" The conversation pauses. Everyone suddenly seems interested in your answer because income is easy to compare. A bigger salary sounds like a bigger life, but there's another number almost nobody asks. How much do you actually keep? Imagine two coworkers. Both earn $150,000 a year. Both started at the same company. Both received similar raises. From the outside, their lives look identical. Behind closed doors, they're completely different. The first spends almost every dollar. Every raise becomes permission to upgrade. A larger home, a newer SUV, better vacations, designer clothes. By the end of each month, very little remains. The second made one simple rule years earlier. Every raise increased investments before lifestyle. As income grew, so did the gap between earning and spending. That gap became an emergency fund, then a retirement account, then a growing investment portfolio. The salaries were the same, the habits weren't. 10 years later, one still worries about every paycheck, the other worries about where to invest the next dollar. That's why one of the strongest predictors of long-term long-term wealth isn't your salary, it's your savings rate. Not your job title, not your neighborhood, not even your income. It's the percentage of your paycheck that keeps working for you. Think of income like water flowing through a pipe. Some people have a huge pipe but leave every faucet running. Others have a smaller pipe but save a meaningful portion before spending the rest. Years later, one has a high income with little wealth, the other has quietly built financial freedom. That's why wealthy people ask one question: how wide is the gap? The gap between income and spending. Because that's where investments grow. That's where compound interest begins. That's where freedom is created. Once you understand that, expensive neighborhoods, luxury cars, and designer brands stop looking like proof of wealth. Instead, you start wondering what nobody can see: the investments, the debt, the financial freedom behind the scenes. Because the wealthiest people often look surprisingly ordinary, and that's exactly why they're so easy to overlook. If you ask someone to picture a millionaire, they'd probably imagine a mansion, a luxury sports car, designer clothes, maybe even a private jet. That's the version movies have taught us. Reality is much less exciting and much more interesting. Imagine walking into a grocery store on a quiet Saturday morning, shopping carts roll past, cash registers beep in the background. A man in faded jeans stands in the coffee aisle comparing prices. Older woman carefully hands over coupons at the checkout. A couple loads groceries into a 10-year-old Toyota parked near the entrance. Nothing about them stands out. You'd probably walk right past them. What you wouldn't know is that one of them has an investment portfolio worth several $1,000,000. That's because real wealth rarely announces itself. It doesn't need to. The people who quietly build financial independence usually stop caring about impressing strangers years earlier. They've already discovered something more valuable than attention: freedom. Freedom to retire when they choose. Freedom to leave a stressful job. Freedom to help family members without creating financial stress for themselves. Those opportunities matter far more than driving a vehicle that turns heads at a stoplight. Research has repeatedly shown an interesting pattern. Many high net worth individuals continue driving reliable, practical vehicles long after they could afford something far more expensive. Not because they're afraid to spend, because they've learned to separate value from appearance. To them, a car has one primary job: get them safely from one place to another. Everything beyond that is simply a personal preference, not proof of success. That's why the wealthiest person in a parking lot is often impossible to identify. Real wealth isn't worn. It isn't parked in the driveway, it's hidden inside investment accounts, retirement plans, businesses, and assets that quietly grow year after year. Ironically, the less someone feels the need to prove they're wealthy, the more likely they already are. And once you understand that, another question naturally appears. If millionaires aren't constantly buying luxury items, where does all of their money actually go? The answer isn't what they buy, it's what they keep buying instead. Here's a question most people never stop to consider. If financially successful people aren't constantly upgrading their cars, homes, and wardrobes, where does their money actually go? The answer isn't flashy, and that's exactly why it works. It's Friday afternoon. Your manager calls you into their office. They smile. Good news, you're getting a raise. You thank them, walk out, and head to your car. On the drive home, your mind starts racing. Maybe it's time for a better apartment, a newer phone, that vacation you've been putting off, or finally upgrading your car. The possibilities feel endless, but someone focused on building wealth experiences that same moment differently. Before the extra income even feels real, a decision is already made. A portion of that raise is automatically redirected. Some goes into retirement accounts, some into broad index funds, some into an emergency fund. The lifestyle stays the same. The investments quietly grow. No one notices. There are no compliments, no visible upgrades, just numbers slowly increasing in the background. And that's the point. The reward isn't attention, it's ownership. Month after month, those contributions begin buying small pieces of businesses across the world. While someone else is making payments on things that lose value, the investor is quietly building something that can grow. At first, the difference is invisible. 5 years later, it's noticeable. 20 years later, it's life-changing. One day you open your investment account. The balance is higher than your annual salary. Not because you suddenly worked harder, but because time finally started working for you. That's the moment most people never see coming. Because compound growth doesn't look impressive in the beginning. It behaves like a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it barely changes. Then, almost without warning, it becomes unstoppable. The wealthy understand something most people overlook. Time is often more valuable than income. Every year they delay investing is a year they can't get back. That's why they focus on starting early instead of starting perfectly. They don't wait until they feel rich. They build systems that eventually make them rich. And that's the biggest misunderstanding about wealth. It isn't created by dramatic moves. It's built through quiet decisions repeated over and over again. The kind nobody applauds, nobody posts about, nobody notices, until one day those invisible choices create something everyone else wishes they had. That's why the truly wealthy aren't trying to look successful today. They're focused on building a future where appearances no longer matter, because building wealth is only half the battle. Keeping it is where the real challenge begins. Your phone buzzes, payroll notification, a $20,000 bonus just hit your account. For a moment, your mind races. Where could you go? What could you finally buy? Now imagine two people receiving that exact same bonus. The first celebrates immediately: a luxury vacation, a new watch, a home theater for a few weeks. It feels amazing, like success, like all the hard work finally paid off. Then 3 months later, the money is gone. The memories remain, but the account balance is right back where it started. The second person celebrates too, but before spending $1, they ask one question: how can this money start working for me? Part goes into investments. Some strengthens an emergency fund, some pays off high interest debt. Only then do they buy something they truly enjoy. The difference isn't discipline, it's perspective. One sees money as something to use. The other sees it as something that can grow. That single mindset changes every financial decision that follows. The quietly wealthy also understand something most people miss. Protecting money isn't about resisting temptation every day. It's about reducing temptation. They build systems instead of relying on willpower. Automatic transfers move money into investments before it feels available. Shopping apps disappear. Marketing emails go unopened. Small barriers quietly prevent big mistakes. Because every impulse you avoid gives your money another chance to grow. One unnecessary purchase won't change your future, but hundreds of them will. The same is true in reverse. One investment won't make you wealthy overnight, but hundreds of consistent investments over decades can completely transform your life. That's why the quietly wealthy don't chase perfect decisions. They build systems that keep making good decisions for them, even when they're busy, even when they're emotional. Their success isn't built on motivation, it's built on consistency. Because once your money works inside a system instead of reacting to your emotions, building wealth becomes easier. Not because life gets easier, but because your habits do the heavy lifting. And in the end, financial freedom isn't about having more money, it's about needing less of it. It's Monday morning. Rumors of layoffs have been circulating for weeks. Two employees walk into the office. They have the same job, the same salary, the same responsibilities. From the outside, they look identical. But there's one difference no one can see. The first person has less than $1,000 saved. If they lose their job today, the pressure starts immediately. Bills keep coming, rent doesn't wait, the car payment doesn't disappear. Every decision becomes urgent. Now picture the second person. Over the years, they've quietly built investments. Their emergency fund is solid, their expenses are comfortably below their income. If layoffs are announced, they're concerned, but not panicked. They have time to think, time to choose, time to find the right opportunity instead of grabbing the first one available. That's what real wealth provides. Not bigger homes, not luxury cars, time, choice. Peace of mind. Many people assume financial freedom means never working again, but for most, that's not the goal. The real goal is having the ability to say no to a toxic environment. No to work that drains your health. No to opportunities that don't align with your values. And something interesting happens when you reach that point. The need to prove yourself through spending begins to fade, because your confidence no longer comes from what you own, it comes from what you can walk away from. That's why financially independent people often seem calm. They're not chasing every raise or promotion. They're protecting something far more valuable: their freedom. And that freedom wasn't built overnight. It didn't come from one lucky investment. It came from thousands of small, consistent decisions. Every unnecessary purchase they avoided, every investment they automated, every dollar they allowed to grow instead of spending it. Over time, those quiet choices turned into something powerful: options. And options are one of the rarest forms of wealth. Because once you can choose how to spend your time instead of being forced to sell it, you've reached a level of success no luxury item can represent. That's why the truly wealthy often stop trying to look wealthy. They've already found something better. They found freedom, because in the end, the richest life isn't the one with the most possessions. It's the one with the most choices. A $10,000 bonus hits your account. For a moment, it feels like anything is possible. You picture the vacation, the new watch, the upgrades you've been putting off. Now imagine two friends in that exact moment. Same bonus, same opportunity. Two completely different choices. The first celebrates immediately. A luxury vacation, a designer watch, a shopping spree. Within weeks, the money is gone, the memories remain, the bank balance doesn't. The second friend celebrates too. But before spending anything, most of the bonus is quietly invested. Only a small portion goes towards something truly meaningful. Months later, both have memories, but only one has money quietly growing in the background. That's the difference. People who build wealth don't avoid spending because they're cheap. They avoid spending without purpose. Every purchase must answer one question: is this worth delaying my future freedom? Sometimes the answer is yes. A meaningful trip, a hobby you genuinely love, a quality item you'll use for years, but many purchases fail that test. They buy a moment of attention instead of a better future. That's why the quietly wealthy don't chase trends. Trends expire. Ownership compounds. Instead of asking, how can I look successful? They ask, how can I own more of what grows? That single shift changes everything. Because every dollar has one job. It can build your image, or it can build your future. It cannot do both. Years pass. One friend is still making payments, still chasing the next upgrade. The other has growing investments, manageable expenses, the freedom to slow down, change careers, or walk away. Same bonus, same starting point. Completely different lives. That's when saving stops feeling like sacrifice. It starts feeling like control. Because every dollar you kept was quietly building something invisible, until one day it wasn't invisible anymore. And in the end, the people who spend their lives trying to look rich usually never become it. The people who quietly become rich eventually stop caring whether anyone notices. It's late at night, you open Instagram for just 5 minutes. 30 minutes later, you somehow feel poorer than when you started. Someone just bought a luxury SUV. Someone else is posting photos from a 5-star resort. Another friend just moved into a beautiful new home. And without realizing it, a quiet thought slips in. Everyone is getting ahead except me. That's how comparison works. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It convinces you you're falling behind even when you're actually making progress, because you're not comparing reality to reality, you're comparing your everyday life to someone else's highlight reel. You don't see their monthly payments. You don't see the credit card balances. You don't see the stress, the trade-offs, or the quiet anxiety behind the scenes. You only see the finished picture. The people who quietly build wealth understand this better than anyone. They refuse to let strangers define their goals. Instead of asking, what are other people buying? They ask, what kind of life am I actually trying to build? That single shift changes everything. Because once your goal becomes freedom instead of approval, your behavior starts to change naturally. You stop upgrading just because someone else did. You stop chasing trends that don't actually improve your life. You stop measuring success by how impressed other people seem. Instead, you begin measuring something far more meaningful. Your investments growing, your debt shrinking, your options expanding, and here's the irony. The less you try to impress others, the more secure your future becomes. That's why many wealthy people seem surprisingly unimpressed by things that excite everyone else. They've already learned something most people haven't. No purchase can permanently increase your happiness. Only progress can. Progress toward independence, progress toward owning your time, progress toward a life where money creates choices instead of pressure. The world will always offer you another reason to spend: a newer phone, a faster car, a bigger house. The invitations never stop. The difference is that the quietly wealthy learn how to say no, not because they're missing out, but because they're protecting something far more valuable. Once you learn to tune out the noise, everything becomes clearer. Because in the end, the greatest investment you can make isn't in a stock. It's in becoming someone who no longer needs other people's approval to feel successful. Have you noticed something strange? People who quietly become wealthy rarely seem more motivated than everyone else. They've simply built better habits. Motivation fades, habits don't. Picture two people who both decide to improve their finances on January 1st. The first creates an ambitious plan. They'll save whatever is left at the end of each month. For a while it works. Then life happens. Unexpected expenses show up, a birthday, a weekend getaway, a few late-night online purchases. By the end of the month, there's nothing left. the plan slowly disappears. Now picture the second person. They take a different approach. On payday, before they spend a single dollar, money is automatically transferred into an investment account. No reminders, no decisions, no reliance on willpower. The money is invested before it ever feels available. After a few months, they barely notice it. Their lifestyle adjusts to what remains. That's one of the biggest differences between people who struggle financially and those who quietly build wealth. One relies on daily discipline. The other builds a system that works even on their worst days. Wealthy people understand something simple. The best financial decisions should happen automatically. Just like paying your rent or your utilities, when investing becomes routine instead of a monthly debate, consistency takes over. And consistency is where compounding begins. The same principle applies to spending. Before making a large purchase, they pause, not for weeks, sometimes just for a day. That short delay eliminates countless impulse decisions. The excitement fades, emotion gives way to logic. Things that felt urgent yesterday suddenly feel unnecessary today. Over time, those small pauses can save tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's the quiet power of strong financial habits. They don't feel dramatic, they feel ordinary, but ordinary actions repeated over decades create extraordinary results. Once those systems are running in the background, your focus shifts. You stop asking how to look wealthy. You start asking something far more important. How much freedom am I quietly building every single month? Because that answer, not your income, your neighborhood, or your car, is what truly shapes your financial future. Because once your habits begin building wealth for you, money stops being something you chase. It becomes something that quietly follows the life you've built. Take one last look at that red light from the beginning of this story. The luxury SUV. The older Honda, at first, it looked like a comparison between two cars. Now you know it was never about the cars. It was about two completely different philosophies. One person is trying to look successful, the other is trying to become financially independent. Those goals may sound similar. In reality, they lead to completely different lives. Imagine two people receiving the exact same raise. The first upgrades everything. A nicer apartment, a luxury vehicle, more expensive restaurants. Within a few months, every extra dollar has found a new monthly payment. The second person upgrades almost nothing. Instead, they quietly increase automatic investments. 5 years later, almost nobody notices the difference. 10 years later, it's obvious. One person owns more possessions, the other owns more freedom. That's the hidden truth behind almost every millionaire next door. Their advantage wasn't a secret investment. It wasn't perfect timing. And it certainly wasn't luck. It was refusing to spend money proving something to people who weren't paying attention anyway. They understood that every dollar has only one destination. It can build your image or it can build your future. Rarely both. The strange part is that this strategy often makes wealthy people look ordinary, sometimes even cheap. Friends may wonder why they haven't upgraded their car. Co-workers may assume they're earning less than they really are. They're perfectly comfortable with that misunderstanding because they know something far more valuable than admiration is quietly growing behind the scenes. Every investment, every paid-off debt, every avoided impulse purchase, every year of compound growth. Those invisible decisions slowly create a life where money becomes a source of choices instead of pressure. And that's the point where everything changes. You stop asking, what can I afford to buy? You begin asking, what kind of life am I creating? Because once you start thinking that way, looking rich loses its appeal. Real wealth doesn't need constant attention. It doesn't need compliments. It doesn't need approval. It simply keeps growing while everyone else is busy chasing appearances. And that leads to the final lesson, the one that explains why the richest move you can make is often the one nobody notices at all. Let's go back to where this all started. A quiet Tuesday morning, a red light, a brand new luxury SUV in one lane, an older Honda waiting patiently in the other. At first glance, it seemed like a simple comparison. Two cars, two drivers, two different levels of success. But now you understand, it was never about the cars. It was about two entirely different mindsets. One person spends to signal success, the other spends to build independence. One accumulates payment, the other accumulates ownership. One is focused on how things look today. The other is focused on how life will feel years from now. That's the difference most people overlook. True wealth isn't defined by what you can display. It's not the badge on your car, not the square footage of your home, not the brand on your wrist. Those things can be borrowed, leased, financed, or purchased with money that's already gone. Real wealth is something far less visible. It's the ability to walk away from a job that drains you, to face unexpected expenses without fear, to take time for the people who matter without worrying about the cost. To make decisions based on what you want, not what your finances allow. That's what money is meant to provide. Not attention, not status, not approval. Freedom, and freedom is quiet. It doesn't need to be announced. It doesn't chase recognition. It doesn't rely on validation. It simply gives you options. Options most people unknowingly trade away. So the next time you find yourself comparing your life to someone else's car, vacation, or highlight reel, pause for a moment. You're only seeing what they chose to show. You won't see the debt behind it. You won't see the pressure. You won't see the trade-offs they made to maintain that image. But you can choose differently. Drive the dependable car. Invest what you don't spend. Ignore the urge to impress people who aren't responsible for your future. Let time and consistency do what appearances never can. Because one day, you'll find yourself at another red light. The person who quietly built freedom won't need anyone else to recognize their success. They'll know. And that's the only opinion that ever mattered.